Have you ever opened a showbox full of old photographs or scrolled endlessly through your phone gallery, only to feel your heart sink instead of lift? You start with good intentions, maybe just to look for that one birthday picture or a memory of your children when they were small, but before long, you're drowning in duplicates, blurred shots, or photos you can't even remember taking. Instead of joy, you feel stress. Instead of peace, you feel the weight of decades staring back at you. And here's the truth. You are not alone. Every older woman I've spoken with admits the same thing. Photos are the hardest clutter to face. Why? Because they hold not just images, but emotions. They are fragments of time, pieces of your story, sometimes reminders of people you love, and other times reminders of what you've lost. But what if I told you, decluttering your photos doesn't mean losing your past? What if it actually gave you more clarity, more peace, and even more joy when you sit down to relive those memories? Stay with me, because in this video, I'm going to share 9 secrets senior ladies use to declutter their photos without regret. So your photo collection becomes a treasure chest of love, not a storage box of overwhelm. Let's start with a gentle truth. Clutter sneaks into our lives quietly, almost invisibly. With photos, it's even worse. Unlike clothes or furniture, photos don't take up much space at first. One album here, a showbox there, a drawer stuffed with envelopes from old film rolls. Then came digital cameras, and later, smartphones. Suddenly thousands of pictures at our fingertips. And here's where the problem begins. Instead of honoring the moments that truly matter, we bury them under too many moments. Research shows that clutter, yes, even photo clutter, triggers cortisol, the stress hormone. When your eyes take in too much at once, your brain feels overwhelmed. And this isn't just physical clutter, it's mental clutter too. Scrolling through hundreds of nearly identical vacation shots doesn't bring peace, it brings fatigue. In fact, psychologists call this decision fatigue. The more choices you have to make, the more exhausted you feel. But here's the science-backed good news. When you cut down the clutter, you sharpen your focus. When you choose fewer, more meaningful photos, your memories shine brighter. Think of it like polishing a diamond. When you clear away the excess, what's left sparkles. And I want you to remember this. Minimalism with photos is not about erasing your past. It's about making room for the moments that truly matter, so that when your children, your grandchildren, or even you sit down to relive your life, you're not lost in the noise, but embraced by clarity and love. So in this video, we're going to journey together through 9 powerful, practical secrets that older women use to reclaim peace from their overflowing photo collections. But before we dive in, let me ask you, have you ever promised yourself, I'll sort my photos one day, and then quietly pushed the box back under the bed, or closed the phone app because it felt too heavy? If you nodded your head just now, this video is exactly what you need. Stay with me, and let's take the very first step together. Secret 1. The box by box rule. Picture this, an older woman named Margaret, in her late 60s, sitting cross-legged on her bedroom floor. In front of her are 5 dusty showboxes, each one filled with decades of photographs. Birthdays, Christmas mornings, graduations, random snapshots she barely remembers taking. For years, Margaret avoided them. Every time she opened the closet and saw those boxes, her heart grew heavy. I'll do it someday, she'd whisper, but someday never came. Until one morning, she tried something different. Instead of tackling all 5 boxes at once, she pulled out just one. She gave herself permission to only look through that single box. She poured a cup of tea, sat by the window, and told herself, this is enough for today. And do you know what happened? For the first time in years, she didn't feel overwhelmed. She laughed at some silly family snapshots. She shed tears over a few tender memories. And when she was done, she carefully chose the ones that mattered most and let the rest go. By the end of that single afternoon, one box was complete. Margaret said it felt like shedding a heavy weight she didn't even realize she was carrying. That's the heart of the box by box rule. Instead of drowning in decades of photos, you take them one small, manageable batch at a time. Whether it's a showbox, an album, or a single folder on your computer, breaking the project into pieces gives you momentum. Psychologists tell us that small wins actually rewire our brain's motivation system. Every completed batch gives you a hit of dopamine, the chemical of satisfaction, and encourages you to keep going. So instead of telling yourself, "I'll never get through all of this," remind yourself, "I only need to do one box today." And with every box, every album, every little folder you finish, you will not only feel lighter, you'll rediscover the joy of your memories without being buried in them. If you've ever said, "I'll start decluttering my photos one day," let this be your nudge. Don't push it off again. And while you're here, don't push off subscribing either. If you truly want to live with less clutter and more peace, join this community of women doing it together. And if you don't want to subscribe, I'd love to hear your reason in the comments. What's holding you back? Secret 2. The memory lane filter. Now let's talk about one of the hardest parts of decluttering photos, the emotional side. Because let's be honest, photos are not like old newspapers or broken appliances. They tug at our hearts. Each one whispers, "Remember me? Don't let me go." But here's the truth, not every photo deserves to stay. Some photos are blurry. Some are duplicates. Some don't even bring back a memory. They're just another face in a crowd, another random snapshot that means nothing today. That's where the memory lane filter comes in. Here's how it works. As you sort through your photos, hold one up and ask yourself, does this picture bring back a memory I truly want to relive? If the answer is yes, keep it. If the answer is no, thank it for its time and let it go. Let me share a story. Joan, a senior lady in her 70s, once showed me a stack of nearly identical photos from her late husband's fishing trip. The lake. The boat. The same fish. Dozens of shots. She said, "Every time I look at these, I don't even remember which trip it was." But then she pulled out one single photo, the two of them together, smiling, her husband's arm wrapped around her. She said, This one tells the whole story." She let go of the pile and kept that single photo. And in that moment, she cried, not from sadness, but from relief. Because she realized she didn't need every photo to remember him. She only needed the one that captured their love. Experts remind us that our memories live in us, not in every scrap of paper or every faded image. When you hold on to everything, you actually dilute the joy of the ones that matter. The memory lane filter gives you permission to let the extras go, so that the best photos shine brighter. So the next time you're sorting through your albums, don't ask, "Is this photo good?" Ask instead, "Does this photo take me down a memory lane worth walking again?" If this secret is already speaking to your heart, don't just nod and move on. Show some love to this channel by giving it a thumbs up. And if you don't want to, tell me in the comments why. I'd love to hear your reason for not supporting a community that's helping women like you reclaim peace. Secret 3. The 5-second decision rule. Here's where many women get stuck. You pick up a photo, stare at it, and suddenly 5 minutes have passed. You're torn. Should I keep this one? What if I regret letting it go? But it's blurry, but it was from that day at the park, and before you know it, hours slip away, and the stack of photos hasn't gotten any smaller. That's why I want to share with you the 5-second decision rule. It's simple. Give yourself just 5 seconds to decide. Keep, toss, or digitize. No debates. No overthinking. Just trust your gut and move on. There's real science behind this. Psychologists say the longer you deliberate over a decision, the more energy your brain burns, and the heavier each choice feels. It's called decision fatigue. And guess what? Decision fatigue doesn't just make decluttering slower, it makes it painful. That's why people often quit halfway through. But when you apply the 5-second rule, you bypass the drama. You don't give your mind the chance to argue with itself. Instead, you're teaching your brain a new habit: decide and move on. Let me tell you about Margaret, a sweet grandmother in her late 60s. She had over 20 boxes of photos in her garage, so overwhelming she avoided even looking at them. When I suggested the 5-second rule, she laughed and said, "There's no way I can decide that quickly." But then she tried. She picked up a blurry photo of her garden, no people, no memory attached, and in 5 seconds, she tossed it. Then she picked up another, her grandkids smiling on Christmas morning, and in 5 seconds, she kept it. Before she knew it, she was flying through the boxes. What had once felt impossible suddenly became manageable. The key is this: the photos that truly matter don't need 30 minutes of debate. You know in your heart right away. And if you're not sure after 5 seconds, that's a sign the photo probably doesn't deserve a permanent place in your collection. If this secret just lifted a weight off your shoulders, do me one small favor: hit that subscribe button. And if you don't want to, I'd love to know why. Drop your reason in the comments. But don't just watch, nod, and disappear. Be part of this movement of women choosing peace over piles of clutter. Secret 4. The Highlight Album Trick. Now let's talk about one of the most powerful and freeing photo declutter secrets: the highlight album trick. Here's the truth: not every photo deserves a permanent home. Some pictures are lovely to glance at once, but the ones that truly matter, those are the ones that deserve to shine. That's why older women who've mastered minimalism often create a single highlight album for each year, trip, or season. Instead of keeping 200 photos from a summer vacation, imagine keeping just 15, the very best ones. The ones that capture the essence of the trip: the laughter around the campfire, the breathtaking sunset, the grandkids' first dive into the lake. Suddenly, flipping through your photos becomes a joyful experience, not an exhausting chore. There's also a psychological reason this works. Research shows that the human brain can only hold onto and emotionally engage with a limited number of images before it shuts down from overload. When you limit your collection, you're not losing memories. You're amplifying the ones that matter most. Let me tell you about Grace, a woman in her early 70s. She had 12 thick photo albums stacked in her hallway closet, so heavy she dreaded pulling them out. But when she began creating highlight albums, everything changed. She narrowed each year down to just a handful of photos, carefully chosen. Now, when her family visits, they can sit down and relive moments together without flipping through endless duplicates. Grace told me, "For the first time, my albums feel like treasures instead of burdens." And the beauty of this trick is that it works for both printed and digital photos. On your phone, create a favorites album and move the top 10 to 20 images per event. In print, choose a slim album or scrapbook dedicated only to the highlights. What you're creating is not just storage, it's a legacy. If the idea of highlight albums just sparked a little relief in you, don't let this moment pass by. Subscribe to this channel right now. Because if you walk away without taking action, clutter will keep winning. And I don't want that for you. Let's do this together. Secret 5. The Duplicate Drop. Have you ever noticed how the same moment seems to appear in your albums over and over again? 5 pictures of the same birthday cake. 10 shots of your granddaughter blowing out the candles. Dozens of nearly identical poses where only someone's blink or smile changed. This is what I call the duplicate trap, and it's one of the biggest sources of photo clutter. Older women who found peace in decluttering have a simple secret: the duplicate drop. Instead of holding on to every version of the same moment, they choose just one, the clearest, the most joyful, the one that tells the story best. The rest, they let go, guilt-free. Let me share the story of Margaret. She's 74, and when she began decluttering her photos, she discovered that her daughter's wedding had filled 2 entire albums. But as she flipped through, she realized 80% were duplicates, just slightly different angles of the same group photo. She decided to keep only the ones where the smiles felt the warmest, the laughter was most natural, and the moment looked alive. In the end, she cut those albums down to a slim, elegant collection that she can show her grandkids in just minutes. Margaret told me, "For the first time, I could see the day clearly, without drowning in repetition." And here's something important. Your brain doesn't actually process or store meaning in all those duplicates. Psychology shows that when we're faced with too many similar options, our brains feel stressed and overwhelmed, a phenomenon called decision fatigue. Keeping duplicates doesn't strengthen your memories, it blurs them. So here's a gentle challenge. Pick up a stack of photos or scroll through your phone. When you see duplicates, pause and ask, which one brings the memory back strongest? Which one would I want my grandchildren to see? Keep that. Release the rest. If you feel a little spark of motivation right now, don't let it pass. Hit the like button. Because if you can't even click that tiny button to show you're ready, How will you ever click delete on those duplicate photos? Start small. Show yourself you can take action. Secret 6. The digital declutter method. Here's the truth. Clutter isn't just in dusty showboxes or overstuffed albums, it's hiding right in your pocket. How many photos do you have sitting on your phone right now? 1,000? 10,000? Maybe more. For many senior ladies I've spoken with, the number is shocking. They never realized that every screenshot, blurry picture, or duplicate selfie has been quietly piling up for years. And while you might not see it in piles on your floor, make no mistake, digital clutter is still clutter. Take Helen, for example. She's 72, and one day her phone stopped working properly. Why? It was stuffed with over 15,000 photos. Every time she tried to find that one picture of her granddaughter, she ended up scrolling endlessly, stressed and frustrated. Helen told me it felt like her memories were trapped under a mountain of junk. That's when she tried the digital declutter method. Here's how it works. Instead of waiting for a massive clean-out, you set aside just 15 minutes a week. One small block of time to go through a folder, delete screenshots, blurry shots, or duplicates, and maybe move the precious ones to a safe digital album. And here's the science behind it. Research shows that even digital clutter can trigger stress because every time you scroll, your brain is processing unnecessary choices. That invisible mess is quietly draining your focus. When you delete the excess, it's like lifting a weight off your mind. So here's your challenge. This week, open your phone's photo app and look at the number at the bottom. Then spend 15 minutes deleting. That's all. And the joy you'll feel when your gallery loads faster and your best photos stand out, it's priceless. If this advice speaks to you but you haven't subscribed yet, ask yourself, why? Why hold on to clutter here, too? You're listening, learning, even nodding along. But without subscribing, you're leaving yourself right back in the pile. Click that button now, and don't let the next 15,000 photos bury you. Secret 7. The memory box upgrade. Now, let's talk about something special. Printed photos. Albums stacked high, boxes under the bed, or even random envelopes tucked in drawers. For many senior ladies, these pictures feel too precious to touch. But here's the truth. When you have too many scattered everywhere, you can't enjoy any of them. Instead of treasures, they become stressors. That's where the memory box upgrade comes in. Instead of keeping 10 heavy albums you never flip through, what if you curated just one beautiful memory box? A single container filled only with the photos that mean the most. Your children's milestones, your wedding day, that unforgettable vacation. Just the highlights, neatly organized and labeled, turning chaos into a treasure chest. I remember Margaret, a warm-hearted woman in her late 70s. Her closet was overflowing with photo albums she hadn't opened in years. She felt guilty even thinking about tossing them. But when her granddaughter asked to see old family photos, Margaret realized she couldn't even find the right one quickly. That's when she created her memory box. She chose one decorative box, labeled sections, family, friends, milestones. Then, she placed only the most meaningful photos inside. The rest, she either digitized them or let them go. And for the first time in decades, her photos felt like joy, not a burden. Here's the science behind it. Psychologists say our brains don't hold onto every memory equally. We're wired to cherish highlights, the moments that truly defined us. By curating instead of hoarding, you align your photo collection with how memory really works. So here's my gentle challenge to you. Find one special box, maybe wooden or fabric covered, and start creating your memory box today. It doesn't just simplify your space, it transforms your photos into a legacy you'll be proud to pass on. If you've made it this far and this idea resonates, but you still haven't subscribed, I need to ask, why? You're here, listening, even imagining your own memory box. Don't just dream about change. Subscribe now and let's make it real, together. Secret 8. The storytelling secret. Now, here's something that transforms photos from mere images into living memories, the storytelling secret. Think about it. A photo on its own can be powerful, yes. But over time, faces blur, places change, and the story behind the photo can fade. You might look at a picture of a smiling group and ask yourself, Now, was that Emily's 10th birthday or her 12th? And who's that standing next to Aunt June? Without the story, the photo becomes a puzzle instead of a treasure. This is why older women who've mastered the art of photo decluttering don't just keep pictures, they keep the stories alive. Take Helen, for instance. She was in her early 70s, with a box full of old family photos. Her grandkids loved flipping through them, but they were always asking, "Who is this, Grandma? When was this taken?" That's when Helen started writing simple notes on the back of photos or attaching little index cards. Christmas 1985, Johnny's first bike. The transformation was magical. Suddenly, her photos weren't just images, they were stories. Her grandchildren stopped seeing them as random old pictures and started cherishing them as pieces of their family's history. Research in memory science tells us that context strengthens recall. When we pair a picture with words, whether written or spoken, we anchor the memory much deeper. That's why adding captions, dates, or even just one sentence makes your photos infinitely more valuable. So here's the tip. Don't keep hundreds of nameless, dateless photos. Instead, take the time to add stories. Write a note, record a voice caption on digital photos, or even create a scrapbook with brief descriptions. Your future self, and your family, will thank you. And let me ask, aren't your stories worth keeping alive? If you're nodding right now but haven't subscribed yet, why not? Don't let your memories get lost in silence. Hit that button, because this channel is here to help you preserve not just your photos, but your legacy. Secret 9, the legacy lens. Now we come to perhaps the most powerful secret of them all, the legacy lens. You see, decluttering your photos isn't really about you. It's about the story you're leaving behind. Ask yourself this: which photos would I want my children or grandchildren to see one day? Not every blurry snapshot, not every random picture of a meal or a duplicate of the same smile. No. What they need, what they'll cherish, are the photos that truly tell the story of your life, your love, and your family's journey. Let me share a story. Margaret, an 80-year-old grandmother, once told me she felt guilty every time she opened her hallway closet. Inside were 15 bulky photo albums, some falling apart, pages stuffed with photos that even she couldn't always identify anymore. When her granddaughter asked to look through them, Margaret realized, what story am I really passing on? That question was the turning point. She decided to apply the legacy lens. She asked, if I only had one album to leave behind, which photos deserve to be in it? Slowly, carefully, she curated one single album. Not of everything, but of the best things. Her wedding day. The birth of her children. Family holidays. A few precious milestones. And when she showed it to her family, her granddaughter whispered, "Grandma, this is like a treasure chest." That's the power of the legacy lens. Instead of drowning in cluttered boxes and digital folders, you pass on a clear, meaningful story, a gift your family will value more than you could ever imagine. And here's the truth. One thoughtful album, one organized box, one carefully curated folder on your computer will mean so much more than thousands of unmarked, confusing, overwhelming photos. This is how you transform clutter into legacy. Now, if you've made it this far and you still haven't subscribed, let me ask, are you going to let your legacy fade into digital clutter too? Or will you join this community, where we preserve not just photos, but peace, clarity, and stories that truly matter? Don't wait another year, another season. Hit that button, and let's make sure your legacy shines bright. So, my dear friend, we've walked together through 9 powerful secrets to declutter your photos. Not just to tidy your shelves or free space on your phone, but to bring peace back into your memories. Because here's the truth. Photos are not just paper, not just pixels. They are fragments of your life story. But when they pile up, duplicates, meaningless shots, boxes you haven't opened in decades, they stop serving as treasures and start becoming burdens. Imagine this with me for a moment. Instead of a dusty pile of photo albums stuffed in a closet, you hold a single, carefully chosen memory box. You open it, and inside are the moments that shaped your life, the laughter of your children, the embrace of your spouse, the milestones that made you proud. No overwhelm. No guilt. Just joy, clarity, and meaning. Science tells us that clutter increases cortisol, the stress hormone. But emotional clutter, that weighs on the soul even more. By choosing what stays and what goes, you are not erasing memories. You are amplifying them. You are making space for the moments that truly matter to shine. And here's the bigger picture. This isn't just for you. This is for your children, your grandchildren, and even for generations you may never meet. What you leave behind tells them not only what you lived through, but how you lived. And so, here's where I gently nudge you again. If you've been nodding along, if you've felt that spark of yes, I need this piece, then don't let this be the last time we meet. Subscribe right now. Because without it, these secrets might slip away like the very memories we've been talking about. Don't carry this weight alone. We are a community of women who are choosing peace over piles, joy over overwhelm, and legacy over clutter. So, before another year of photos stacks up, before another box goes untouched in the closet, join us. This is your time. This is your story. Let's make it one worth passing down.